And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Today we're reviewing Wild Fun West. Not just any Wild West, but this is the Wild Fun West. I must have missed that one. But I think what it's trying to say is this is a game that's based on the Wild Wild West, I think. But it's a fun game. And essentially that's what this is. Think of this as an auction party game. It's for 4 to 8 players. Plays 8 perfectly fine. Let me show you a little bit about how it's played, and then I'll come back. This is from the same folks, by the way, who made Exodus Proxima, which is one of my favorite space games. A big, grandiose, kind of big, grandiose game. It takes 2 hours. This one is more of a party-style game. Is it good? Let's look. The very first thing you'll do in the game is you get objective cards, and there's a whole pile of these objective cards, and that's because you have cards for the number of players. You have cards for 8 players, 7 players, 6, 5, and 4. And then even then, when you have the objective players for 8 players, for example, objective cards, they're split into 2 different sets. Now, once you find out your set, each person is given one of these cards randomly, and it will show you 6 buildings that you want to have built in town. So here I want to build the jail, stable, gold mine, barber and medicine, sheriff's office, and funeral parlor, while you might have the general store, sheriff's office, school, post office, stable, and stagecoach. Now you can see that both of us want to get the stable done, both of us want to get the sheriff's office done, and both of us want to get, we have different matchups as the game progresses, and I might be trying to get some of the same buildings built that you are. And the third card might be match some of you and some of me. So everyone has different objectives, and to win the game, you need to get 4 of these cards built. Now, each player is also going to get a character card. And these character cards are different famous people from the West, although they are quite a bit funnier, I suppose, than they would have been in the West, and each of them gives a special ability. For example, Buffalo Bill, when there's at the most 2 buildings built in town, he can swap his objective card with somebody else. Or let's see some interesting ones here. There's Judge Roy Bean, Billy the Kid. If someone builds the bank, he gets $15. He can do that once per game. And so each of these people has a special ability. They also have a number on them next to that blue arrow that shows how much income they're going to get during the income phase. And so everyone will get one of these, and they'll get some money, and then the game begins. At the beginning of the game, the first thing that happens is players are going to auction off a certain number of professions, and you're going to try to get these professions and put them in front of yourselves, which will give you abilities and more income, etc. So let's take a look at them. There will be fewer professions that come up than the number of players, and when a profession comes up, you will either have an open bid, in which bidding goes around the table till everyone but one person passes, or a closed bid, in which case you put money out in your hand like this and reveal it, and you lose it whether you win or lose the bid, and whoever puts out the most money wins, with a tie going to an open bid between the tied players. When you get a profession, you may pay 1 coin to the bank, $1 to the bank, and place that profession in front of you, although you may only have 2 professions in front of you at any given time. Each profession does a couple things. Let's take a look at the prospector here. The prospector gives you 3 more income during each income phase. He also gives the player to your left 3 income. And if the bank is on the table, he gets +1 income. He gets extra help when he builds the gold mine, and he shoots the preacher man. What a jerk. Now, the important part of this is everybody here has a card that they can't work with. For example, the prospector gets rid of the preacher man, while the judge gets rid of the prospector. So the judge and the prospector can never be on the table at the same time. And the one who wins is the judge, because they shoot the prospector. So if someone puts the judge on the table and I have the prospector, I have to put them back in my hand, and I can't put them back on the table until the judge is removed. And now the illusionist here gets rid of the judge. Hooray! Now I can put back the prospector. But someone might get rid of the illusionist, in which case the judge might come back out, and then the prospector is gone. Don't worry, in the game, this isn't that confusing. You're always looking for basically the person that you can shoot and the person who can shoot you. And they may not even be out in the game, and you may have both of them, so you might bid on one just to keep it from coming out. After these have been bid off, an event card is turned over with really bad formatting of the text, but that's okay. It gives some kind of something that will happen here. The Medicine Lodge Treaty, the school marm gets $3. The cowboy gets $4. The trapper is banned from play till the end of the turn. But each of these event cards usually gives some money to different people who have different professions, and occasionally to a very specific person. And they add a little bit of flavor. This doesn't change the game that much, but the next part of the round does. In the next part of the round, you're going to draw some buildings. You're going to draw 3 of them. And players are going to bid on these buildings to be built. Going around a table, you put money on one of these buildings. If you have a character who helps build a building. For example, the dancing girl here has a hammer next to the hotel. That means she can build extra with the hotel. So if the hotel was one of the 3 buildings that was out, which it isn't right now, but let's say that the hotel was one of these buildings, when she put money on it, the government would also match the amount of money that she puts on it. So she has a leg up to build that particular building. So you keep going around the table until everyone passes, and the building that has the most money on it is built and added to the town. It can never be destroyed, and the other 2 buildings are discarded. If there's a tie, which happens occasionally, then all the buildings are discarded. And then you keep going. You give out income to everybody based on all their cards, and you have to check for that. Some people get less income if other people are on the table, and so on and so forth. And you keep going till suddenly there's enough buildings to meet the requirements of someone's card. At that time, that person shows their card, shows the 4 buildings, and wins the game. If it happens to 2 people simultaneously, which can happen, then the person who has the most money wins the game. Okay, well, there's a few small production things, mostly translation and justification on those cards of the font. The game itself is hilariously fun. I really enjoy it. Although it plays very differently with 4 players, it's a little bit more strategic. With 8 players, it's just open night. You're all laughing and yelling and bidding, and sometimes the rolls that people get, like for example, one roll gets money every time there's a tie on a building. So he has an incentive to make it there to be a tie, and everyone else knows that. Everyone knows that Billy the Kid, for example, gets money when he robs the bank, when the bank shows up. So even though I need the bank to win, am I going to bring it out? One of the things, though, I would very much recommend, in the game there's a shorter version where you only need 3 of your 6 buildings to win. If you're playing with 7 or 8 players, I would say that's pretty much a required rule. To get 3 of your buildings built, do it that way. The game doesn't go too long. So there's just a lot of things I enjoy about this game. Are the player powers equal? I don't know. Are the rolls good? Definitely not, but you auction for those. Some people don't like closed blind bidding, especially when you lose and you still have to pay the money. But in this game, I don't think it's that big of a deal. You don't have to win, you're not going to win. Not everyone's going to win an auction because there's not enough rolls to take each turn. But you should, as time goes by, win some of them, and you will get income. The game, as I said, is not perfectly balanced because there are different powers on the people, there's different roles, and you can find that someone can fall behind sometimes because they're not getting money. But the game has that neat mechanic where you're giving money to the person on your left. So you might not do so well, but you might get money because the person to your right has gotten some rolls that give you some nice cash. And there's back and forth trying to figure out which building people want. Sometimes you'll bid on a building that you don't care about just so that the ones that people started bidding on don't succeed and don't go over well. The event cards, I could take or leave them. They're fine. They don't hurt the game. They don't help it much either. They're just kind of there. But getting the rolls, using those rolls, someone with a powerful roll, you're like, oh, when's the person with the gun to get rid of that person come up, And I don't know. I haven't played another game like it. Usually auction games aren't this fun. And this one's not that thinky. You don't sit there and go, okay, if I bid 7 on this, I need to save 6 for this. No, you're just bidding because money, yes, it's a tiebreaker, and yes, that can be important, but it's just used for bidding. So you're just using it for that purpose, and you can have a lot of fun with it. I think it's best with the maximum number of players, 7 or 8, but it still works well in groups. Does it bring the Western theme? To some degree, and I hope to see a U.S. publisher pick this one up. Very fun, wild, fun West.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find the latest board game news at Dicetowernews.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Fun Again Games, the world's best game source. Fun Again Games has over 5,000 games available. Check them out at funagain.com.
Shut the door.
There.